everybody. Betsy Davis, Chief Marketing Officer of Sandy Alexander, here for another episode of Colorbar with my girl Kim.
Hey Betsy, how are you?
I'm good.
Good to see you as always.
Awesome to be here.
I know. I'm excited about today's guest and what's going to unfold.
Well, listen, I was thinking about it before I came on. I think the first time that I met Andy was hearing him speak at an inkjet summit, and he's just this gregarious person that you like just want to know and want to have a conversation with. And so we get to have a conversation. And he reached out. It was like, what do I got to do? What do I got to do to be on Colorbar? You got Francis on there talking for an hour and a half, and I need a little airtime.
All right.
So without further ado, Andy Fetherman, CEO of Müller Martini, is joining us today. Hello, sir.
Hello, ladies. Thank you so much for taking the time to have me on. I'm honored to be here for sure.
Oh, we're thrilled.
Well, we're thrilled to have you. And I was also thinking about it that oftentimes on Colorbar, we're talking about marketing, and obviously we're talking about print. But earlier today, we talked about paper as part of the journey. And the finishing is just as important. Like I've said so many times that oftentimes it's the forgotten piece. But without it, well, there's nothing. without it, there's just a bunch of sheets of paper laying around. And so I love that we have you to talk about just this integral part of our business, of being able to put out great communication out into the world. And a piece that probably a lot of people don't necessarily think about, but that's crucial to our success. So, and you've been doing it for 30 years. My God. Andy, when I read that, I was like, what is happening?
32 at Müller alone. 5 years at Heidelberg before.
That is nuts.
So it's crazy how quick.
So what's gotten into your blood? What's made you love this part of our business for 32 years?
You know, it's funny. When I was in college in the late 80s, that old, and I got a job. A friend of mine's uncle worked at a pre-press shop. So he got me a job I was living flats. To a company called Cable View in Manhattan. This is in New Jersey, right? So bring in the artwork, the flats there, so they can change it, how far we've come, right? And make the changes to the magazine and bring it back to the pre-press. And they would take pictures of it, do the camera room. And I did some match printing and things like that. So I got the ink. I knew what four-color process was, I knew what a halftone dot was. I got ink in my blood when I was 18, 19 years old. And then it just flowed right after that into multiple jobs. I remember my first interview at Heidelberg. I got my electrical engineering degree. I got a Bachelor of Engineering, Electrical Engineering, Stevens Institute of Technology, great school in Hoboken, New Jersey. And I didn't want to go into designing. I wanted to do something more dynamic. You know, you had very nice comments a minute ago about liking to be in front of people. So I wanted to do something a little different. So I go to this interview. This guy, Franz Hopp, a German guy, very German, singing Queens, New York, Glendale, Queens. That's what the headquarters was at the time for Heidelberg, Eastern. I'm sitting in the interview and he goes, all right, what could you tell me about yourself? I go, well, let me say this. I know what four-color process is. I know what a halftone dot is. What else you need to know? He goes, you're hired. You're hired. I go, come on. He goes, seriously, you're hired. Because you're the only one who knows anything about printing, so you're hired. We had lunch and I got the job. So why would it not be in my blood for 35 years, 30, 40 years after that? It was what got me started. So
We've said it so many times that once it gets in your blood, you can't get it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nope.
Well, it's a very narcissistic, no, not wrong word. It's a very incestuous industry where people just know everyone. I mean, I saw recent interviews that you had. So many people talk about generational relationships they've had. And by the way, Francis, I mentioned you in the first 3 minutes, not the last 3 minutes of the video. So when you hear this, you can call to thank me, just so you can say it. And so to me, it was just the friends you make. And we'll talk so much about how important family is to me, to management. There's so much we got to talk about with those things, but beautiful industry. Glad we're all a part of it for sure.
Did you ever think, when you were talking about halftones and four-color process, that you would be the CEO of a company that we all have been raised around? Yeah.
You know, quick funny about halftone dots real quick, and I'll answer your question, I promise. At that same job, Genmar Graphics was the name of the pre-press company. Joey Russo works for Command Web now. I know Joey a long time. Anyway, he goes to the back and he says to me, "Hey, and go in the back, get a box of halftone dots." So
Yes.
dummy me runs in the back, get out of a box of halftone dots. Of course, that was the joke of the whole place. But, you know,
So they did it to me too when I was at Clear Visions. They told me to go get a broom and sweep up the halftone
okay.
dots. Yeah. So I'm running around looking for a broom to sweep up nothing. Yeah. So that was the trick that was done on me. Thank you, Matt Coltharp, Benny Spiegel, Wes Menifee, all those guys that people know that did that joke to me 25 years ago. Yeah.
Actually, I forget your original question if you can repeat it, but
That did you ever think that you would be the CEO of a major company in our industry whenever you were talking halftone dots to Franz?
you know, I think ambition was always a part of me. The answer is no, because that's only the 1%, right? Top 1% get there, whatever the percentage is. But it was always inside of me that, you know, what I always wanted to prove to my family, I didn't have a family at the time, but it came shortly thereafter, was good guys don't finish last and hard work pays off. So I think my journey, which we'll talk about, I'm sure, during this interview, among many, many other important things, more important than myself, is related to that legacy that you leave for your family, to this company going forward. And so proud. I can tell you the story, how it all kind of came around. I was with Müller. I got hired for their press division. They made variable size web presses for business forums and direct mail. Before, back in the day, you'd print a shell and then on a
Yes.
Müller press, and they would use toner-based OC engines to personalize, right? Linked, right? So they hired me out of Heidelberg. I married my wife's Italian from Howard Beach, Queens, South Ozone Park, Queens. There was no moving her to Kennesaw, Georgia. Nothing wrong with Kennesaw, Georgia, beautiful place. But a deep oak-rooted Italian with her family in Queens doesn't go to Georgia. So when Heidelberg said we're moving to Georgia in 1993, 94, and I met my wife at work at Heidelberg, kind of cool. And I was already no fish off the corporate pier. Boy, I not only fish, I got a 33-year marriage out of it so far. So very proud of it. I was actually sitting in the parts department at this guy that I've never sat in his office before. I'm sitting in the parts department, waiting for this guy, Paul, who ran the parts department, to get off the phone. I'm sitting with Bill, and all of a sudden Bill's phone rings and says, "Hey, Andy." He goes, "No, I'm not interested." He hangs up the phone. He goes, "Wait a minute, you're looking for a job, right?" It was a headhunter for the Müller job who called Bill. And Bill said, "I never would have thought of you. You weren't sitting here." And in 5 years, I sat in his office once. It's just one of those right place, right time moments, right? So
It's kind of
come out
kismet.
here. Yeah, exactly. Crazy.
That is.
I'm sorry, but go ahead, Kim, please.
No. I just said that was amazing. You know, I mean, timing is everything. And that's just one of those that you put it out in the universe, and the universe showed up and said, "Hey."
We all have
Love
those,
that
we all
stories.
have those stories of the right place, right time. Yeah.
And really, when I got here, Müller Martini, the press division was kind of like the redheaded stepchild of Müller, because Müller's finishing. You know, Sandy has plenty of our stitchers, for example, and the like. So I came in as the press guy, but I was barely, we were doing our own thing, like a separate company within a company. So can you imagine a 24-year-old man and a job where you're the redheaded stepchild and a company? Do you think for a minute I thought I could be president and CEO of this organization? There's no way. No way.
But I love that. Like I love that story. Like I had dinner last week with a gentleman that I've known since I was 23, 24, and he was CEO of Alpha Graphics. And I'm like, how did you, who I've been like had way too many beers with when we were in our 20s, now running around globally, running a global franchise company? Like, what has happened? But I love the opportunities that this industry has provided to so many of us. Yeah.
That's 100%. I think the opportunities, when you talk about print back then, less of a concern to the outside people. Now they think, "Oh my God, you're in print." But they're so wrong. They're so wrong. The beautiful things we're doing, the automation, the technology that's built for this industry. I know that Francis mentioned it's the beginning, not the end. I fully agree with that statement. I'm going to
Yeah.
give him that because to me, it's different. Every phase, every decade, it's a different look and feel, but wonderful industry to be in, and very proud that all of us here are in leadership roles, forging the next path. I mean, I have many years left to forge that path. You have many more than I do, both of you ladies, and I'm excited to do that together.
Yeah, you talked about, Kim and I looked at each other when you made the comment about leaving a legacy, and we've had so many people talk about that, and we've talked so much about the next generation of talent and ensuring that we're doing our part to lift up that next generation so we can have this industry continue to evolve. Talk about what you guys have done from that perspective of how are you finding the next generation of talent for Müller Martini and what that looks like.
Well, I mean, Müller Martini North America, which I do manage all of North America, Canada, US, we are a relatively old company when it comes to tenure. It's beautiful. Our average tenure was over 20 years. What I'm very proud about that is no one works for a bad company on an average of over 20 years. It's impossible.
Right.
Family owned, Rudy Müller still owns us. There's a family owned company, which is, can't even talk enough about the positives of that. We can go on for the whole 40-minute segment on that. But with that legacy you leave is not just the Müller name, you leave the Fetherman name in there, you leave everything you want to do is to try to build that to the next generation. But you have to manage different to do that. Like we are now an average of 17-year tenure because retirements just happen organically, right? You're placing that knowledge and talent's really hard, okay? It really is. But you still have to do it. But you have to do it different. I'll give you a small example. Back when COVID hit, we all did work from home.
Yep.
And I took over in 2022 here as president and CEO of Müller Martini North America, and right in the heart, right at the back end of COVID, right? And it's obviously still working from home. At the end of 23, beginning of 23, we came back 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, to kind of get people back in the shuffle because they got so used to watching their kids, the younger generation. We had to kind of do it softly. At the end of the year, I said to my management team, I have a couple of my CFO, my director of service and parts, and I said, hey guys, listen, I'd like to keep it 3 days in, 2 days voluntary. What do you think? No, we got to come back 5 days. Well, that's the legacy old man network thoughts of what you think you should do. Tell me why. So I gave them 30 days. They came back to me and said, so okay, we sat in a meeting. I said, what do you guys think? Give me a reason why I shouldn't do it. They looked at me and said, I got nothing. I kind of laughed. I said, well, so we started, and still today, we're 3 days in, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Kind of like to box off the weekend so it doesn't become 3-day weekends. But Tuesday, Thursdays, it's voluntary from the office or home. Why? Well, I think that's because you had to look at what the millennials and Gen Zs, what appeals to them as a flexible work schedule is a big part of what appeals to them. And we are now hiring very, very qualified individuals, ladies and men of all faces, genders, ages, that love the fact that we're flexible. That's just a small example of what you need to do differently in this world than our old 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. By the way, my daughter taught me this. She's going to be 30 this year. Hey, Dad, who the hell said 9 to 5, Monday to Friday is work hours? That wasn't written in stone. Like, she's like that mentality. She's a free spirit that way. And it opened my eyes to looking at it differently. And sure enough, we've had no problems getting talent, losing really good talent, but supporting it with really good talent coming in. So
Yeah, we've said this a lot too, that the whole "because we always have done it that way" statement doesn't work anymore. Yeah.
I hate that.
No.
But the next generation, and I want to find a different way of saying that. I keep saying that, and I almost feel like there's a better way to say, whatever it is. But that next generation of talent, they don't put up with it. Like they are moving and shaking and are always looking at a different way of doing it.
I like an expression. I hate when people say it. Well, why'd you do it that way? Because we've always done it that way.
That's
I'm
right.
like,
Right.
nails on a chalkboard. What
Exactly.
do you mean?
Exactly. So we can't have this conversation without talking about again, always moving and changing, but also leadership and culture. You just made a major acquisition and merger of two historic companies. And I am so fascinated to hear from you why strategically. I'm going to put a bunch of questions into one. Why strategically make that move? Two, talking about culture and talking about change, what that journey has been like over the last few months. And yeah, well, let's start there. I won't throw too many at you. Let's start there.
You do them more talented than I really am. I'm throwing 10 questions at a time. I like to start with culture, if I may.
Sure.
Then I'll segue how that formulates into the success we're having as the combined company. In 22, when I came on board, the first year was just a whirlwind of learning and putting my mark and fingerprint on things and trying to get my family ethic, my family ideologies to the company. So it was the end of 22. We didn't have any sales or service meetings. We have an annual one at some pretty place in Florida, and nice warm place to get in the thank you.
Of course.
Of course. And with COVID, we didn't go for a couple of years. So beginning of 23, I get my team together. I go, I want to do service and sales together for the first time in the history of Müller Martini North America. And I said, and I want the theme to be better together than apart. That was the theme. So we went down to Marco Island, JW Marriott. Sorry, board, but I blew up the budget times 3, and I asked for forgiveness, not permission. They gave it to me. I said, we haven't had one in 3 years. I used 3 years of budget. What's the big deal?
There you go.
And we brought their wives, their significant others, their husbands, even my whole family. I have a daughter, I have an autistic son who's 27 now. And my wife came down. We all went down to this beautiful resort. I'm sure JW Marriott might have been there. It's beautiful in Marco Island.
Yep.
And the first night I stand up and I say, tiki torches on the grassy knoll by the beach, right? I just say, listen, everybody. I said, first of all, to the families of our employees, I want to thank you for allowing service guys to travel 40 weeks a year, for allowing us to have long nights and having them coming home stressed out because of challenging situations. So this resort is yours this weekend. Enjoy it, have a lot of fun. And for the rest of you, the theme is better together than apart, because we bring sales and service together. We bring us together as a family and work family, to better together than apart. Everything was about the ideology of it. So what an incredible tidal wave of that. I was getting shirts mailed to me from a bar in Florida where a service guy sold better together on a T-shirt. And he'd mail it to it, show up from Danny C. and Fonka. I'm like, what is that? I open it up, it's a better together shirt. And then he sent me videos when they're together, better together than apart. It was just a beautiful thing. So it's a little cheeky, but it really established this wonderful culture, right? As we really believe in you and we're here for you culture. So that's what I'm proud about, what we've done here domestically.
You know what I love about that is we spend all this time, Kim and I did it a few years ago when
Yes.
you spend all this painstaking time coming up with mission values and statements and, your mission and your value. And the fact that you just narrowed it down to better together than apart says it all, Like, and you probably just had one of those inspired
Aha moments.
aha thoughts before this coming together of your teams, and how impactful it is. It's just proof that it doesn't have to be this overthought thing to come up with the mission and values of a company. To just keep it really simple and something that resonates with people is really important. So I love that.
Yeah.
Right. The resonate with the people was the key. It was the matter of getting the, now listen, you can say that. You can write it on a big epitaph, on a big wall, on a big 7-inch screen.
Yes.
You have to do it. You have to live it. You have to believe it. And I would believe that, I'm going to show you something quick now.
Please.
So the next year, I would say, I care, guys. I do care. So one of my employees brought me this bobblehead. It's supposed to be me. It says, I care. You can see it says,
there
I
it
care.
is.
It's a little bobblehead. It says, I care. And that was for one of my employees. Is that crazy or what? So
That's fun. I love that. But that's the kind of culture that you want to, that you want to build. I mean, because it's, that's when you're able to enjoy each other.
Yes. Yes.
It just changes the trajectory of the company, your brand, plays into, I think, your success, and it is such, to your point, it's not overthought. It's a very simple, but it's at the very core of really what does make us all successful.
Yeah.
And nobody's good in a silo.
That's right. I mean, and I think about my questions for you, Andy, around leadership, but the fact that your team is sending you pictures of Better Together or sending you T-shirts or making a bobblehead
for
out
you.
of you. There's probably a bobblehead of me sitting on somewhere. I don't know who this is. I care. But it just speaks to you as a leader that your team members they recognize the things that you say and they believe you when you say it enough to send you a bobblehead.
Right.
It's pretty cool.
No, it just makes you feel really good inside. You got to manage with your heart, not your mind, most of the time. And of course, the mind's a part of it because there's always the almighty numbers and stuff. But you don't get the numbers if you manage to the numbers. You get the numbers by managing the people.
Right.
Then you get the numbers. And I always say I never managed to a bonus. I never managed to a P&L. I managed to get positive results on those, but not to it. It's a subtle difference, but to me, it's a big difference.
Yeah. So
I want to go back to Hunkeler because
that's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
That's where I was about to take you is so using that methodology, using that way of thinking about a business. How did you deploy that whenever you merge these two significant organizations together?
Well, it was like two phases to that. I mean, the first phase was the acquisition. Müller Martini was approached by the Hunkeler family and Franz Hunkeler, and you know this. Hans Müller worked for the Hunkeler family in the 40s, 1946. He left them in good standing. They said different things they wanted to do. They're in the same canton in Switzerland, so they're raised with the same ideologies and the same family-owned mentality and culture, right? We're talking about. And then there was always this friendly relationship. We never really competed because they had a different market segment. They're more transactional, direct mail, and we were more publishing and commercial. So when Innovation Days, Hunkeler Innovation Days, great event, 27 coming back again, we got to promote it. It's run by Hunkeler people because everyone that was with Hunkeler, still with Hunkeler in our organization. We'll talk about that. But a great event. Right after that event, Franz Hunkeler approached Rudy Müller and said, hey, let's talk. And 10 months later, the acquisition happened December 23. So that was really to keep that legacy of Hunkeler alive with the culture of the Swiss canton that Müller was in and the Müller family. So fast forward, there was exclusivity that Standard Finishing had here in North America for Hunkeler. So together with the Müller family and our board, myself, we organized a roadmap to unravel that exclusivity because Müller Martini directly supports their technologies, including the Hunkeler technologies on a global basis, especially in North America. So, and it was a beautiful thing because in July of 24, we had an agreement for the roadmap. Over the next 18 months, this is how we're going to transition Hunkeler support, sales, parts, service from Standard Finishing to Müller Martini North America. What was beautiful about that is, and this is a metaphor I like to use, you don't wake up in the morning and run a marathon.
I do not, for sure.
No. I don't even really like waking up in the morning, to tell you the truth, but it's necessary, but
Sometimes lifting this up with the coffee is a little bit hard.
Exactly.
But you train for a year, right? You train for a year for a marathon. So we had 18 months to train for this incredible marathon because on January 1st, 2026, click, it wasn't a dimmer switch. You went from very little support of it to 100% support of it. So that was really exciting. Better together than apart. Müller Martini Hunkeler, better together than apart. Sales, service, parts. All of it was just coming together and reinforcing the whole culture with the team. So that's why the transition that happened just 2.5 months ago has been relatively seamless. There's some organic things we didn't know. We learned along the way, but we're 90% ready. And we had a call with one of our print partners today, our quarterly QBR call, and it was very, very complimentary, very positive on the transitional efficiency and productivity and really seamless handoff. So very proud of that.
Yeah, I was going to ask that. What do you think? How do you think we as customers are going to benefit from the merging of these two organizations, or what would be your hope that we would be able to experience as your customer?
I think the hope would be a single source for support that is the manufacturer in North America, not an agent, a manufacturer. So why is that important? Well, a couple reasons. I can't say that's a Hunkeler problem. I am Hunkeler. Hunkeler is now a division of Müller Martini. We're going to keep the logos combined. You can see over here the logo in my background, Hunkeler Müller with a line between them, equal billing, same line. There's a Hunkeler Gen 8 Evo, which is the new cut and stack line behind me. So it's really bringing us together. And the whole concept was to make sure that we let the customers know the manufacturer manages with their heart. I said that earlier with managing in general, less with their mind, because it's our legacy of Müller Hunkeler that we want to maintain. Also, we are plugged in more tactically into the systems in Switzerland. It's another simple example. If you need a part for your Hunkeler device, you go on our eShop online. You not only can look up the part, you get the price, you can see the stock availability in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where we have 85% of all parts available from there, which is another networking capital investment that a manufacturer does in North America. Plus, you can see the stock in Switzerland. So if it's not here, it's at one of the 10, 15%. Is it in Switzerland? Why is that important? Because then you know the exposure you have for that issue that you're dealing with.
Right.
So it's tying into the systems, having our technical support team tied to the engineers. We are Hunkeler, we are Müller, and that legacy and that really deep level support will benefit end users like yourself.
It's crazy what when we talk about this part of the business, how big the service side is. Like, it's everything. I mean, yes, the technology, the R&D, all of that, but that equipment has to run all the time. Like, the demands that we put on but is insane. We appreciate it. We appreciate the service, but it's yes, exactly. But thank you for recognizing that the service piece is just, it's everything.
Critical. Yeah. I mean, that's what makes it happen.
That's right. And again, like I said at the very top of this, IT's one of our GMs who started his career almost 40 years later now, but started in the bindery. And so his heart still lives at the bindery stage of it. And he's like, it's always us. It always rolls downhill to us. And it is the final stage. And so if that part's not working, it doesn't matter what we accomplished up here. It comes down to that piece. So anyway, I just wanted to say thank you for, just the focus.
Most people call it post-press.
Post-press. That's right.
We call the press department pre-finishing. We changed it. So we're not pre-finishing. We're not post-press. That's what we say now when we ever in some stuff.
I love that. I love it.
That's great.
So let's talk innovation. And you and I talked about this a little bit whenever we were prepping for the call around the whole conversation of AI and smart factories and all of that. What are how are your teams embracing it? What are you doing as an organization to take advantage of all of this intelligence that we have at our fingertips?
And I think first in AI, we'll get to that in a second, but to me, bringing the two companies together, both engineering departments are now under one roof. We had an initiative over the last 6 months where they're only 3-4 miles away from each other, the Hunkeler headquarters and Müller's headquarters. So now they moved everything into the Müller headquarters to bring the innovation, to your point, together. All the engineers are under one management now. They're driving solution developments. And if you look at our solution set of Müller Hunkeler, it's very tangential and complementary. Like when we bought the Heidelberg stitching lines back in 2015, it was completely competitive to the Müller stitching line. So we just took the technology, put some servo pockets on our stitchers, which we couldn't do because of IP, and made our stitchers better. We bought Colbus binders in 2018, and it was very similar, high-speed binder, mid-range binder. And now we didn't only keep the Müller, we kept the high-speed Colbus, the mid-range Müller, like we had a mix, which we thought were the best mix. But when it came to Hunkeler, there was none of that cannibalization. It was cut and snap lines, or DP8, pattern perf and punch devices and the likes. So it's a total new market segment that allows engineers to not compete with ideas because they're not trying to build a better binder. But they're complementary and joining forces to make the solutions much better. The line behind us, the Evo, that's the first Müller Hunkeler joint engineering device.
Oh, wow.
It's basically a Gen 8 cut stack line from Hunkeler mechanically, but the electronics and the work that touched us, the interface is all Müller that we put together to make the best of both worlds come together in the first attempt that came out last year. So this is what innovation is from an equipment perspective. From AI, it starts with helping you manage first and foremost, helping you with marketing, helping you with spending less time with spreadsheets, less time with drafting arduous reports and those crazy things and coming up with really good, because once it learns how you write, it writes like you. It's amazing.
Yes, it does.
Isn't crazy, right?
I'm a new adapter of that, so I'm a big fan.
Kim made a Kim bot,
Yes.
Kim agent.
I have Kim Ryder.
That's it. No one has an assistant anymore. We have ChatGPT. We have the Kim bots of the world where you can really, you don't like how it came out, and throw it in there and it comes back. Oh wow, that's better.
Yeah. Well, it is crazy though how much time, and I say this often. The time that we would spend, to your point, Andy, of like putting these spreadsheets together, or creating these board decks, or doing all this stuff, and it's just like, really? Like, I should be out selling. I should be thinking about what the next strategic move is for the business, not spending 18 hours of my week doing this kind of stuff. And so it is an absolute game changer from a time management perspective, and spending our time doing the things that we enjoy versus spreadsheets.
And marketing. It's
And
really
marketing, yeah.
big. We joined this thing called Stripe, SCRIPE.
Okay.
It's a German company that I was part of the beta test for it last fall. 6 of us in management and marketing signed up, learned how to use the app. It's an app. It's a web-based app where you go in, you sign up, and you download some of your videos, you download some of your interviews, like I'll download this interview when it's done, and the things you wrote, your emails, things you wrote for marketing or letters. And that happened to me over the fall. Now, I was at the ING event a couple weeks ago, and all I did was I came in the next week when I got to the office, I turned on my Skype, opened my Skype website, and hit the record button. Had a great time. My first ING event, I said 30 seconds. And if you go on LinkedIn, you'll see the post that came out. It wrote like me, used a couple of emojis. I liked some emojis, bring some fun to it. Took a couple of pictures of it. And it's so easy, and it makes you more prone to doing it, as opposed to, oh God, I got to do another post. That's a pain in the neck, because it's so easy. That's just another small example of how AI is playing into what Müller's doing. And we just launched it to 3 more of my employees and 15 more people worldwide to grow that exposure on the marketing side.
So is it for LinkedIn specifically?
It is for LinkedIn specifically.
Okay. Another one we gotta look into.
Look into. Yep.
Yeah.
Put that on the list.
Yeah. We had a segment last year that was like, AI, do you feel like you're cheating?
Yeah.
Are we
All right.
cheating? Are we cheating if we're using it? I've gotten over that. I'm over it. I'm not cheating.
I was being
like-
efficient.
Yeah.
When you read, I'm going to date myself. When you read Cliff Notes in high school, you were cheating. This is
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, exactly. So I want to go back to leadership really quickly, because you definitely are one that we see in our industry as one of our leaders. So I've got a couple of questions for you about it. What do you wish someone had told you before you took this position from a leadership perspective? What was something that you're like, man, if somebody would have told me that 10 years ago, that would have been, I've been a lot better off. Anything come to mind?
I think, can I flip it to what someone did tell me?
Of course you can.
Sure.
Because I think that would be a stronger point, because when I was coming up through the ranks of all different jobs and things, one time I came to someone and said, oh my God, we got a problem. What do we do? What do we do? What do we do? And this manager was the president at the time, Vernon Eggley, was our president and CEO at the time. He sat me down in this office, I'm in his old office now, and said, Andy, come in here. He goes, let me talk to you. He goes, I pay you to think. So what I'd like you to do next time is come in and say, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, we got a problem. This is what I think we should do. What do you think? Such a subtle difference. But that changed my whole mindset of, wow, yes, I am paid to think. Yes, hopefully that I can come up with good ideas. And if they're not, you can scrub them with your management team. So really don't go to someone and say, what do I do? Say, this is what I think we should do. What do you think? As subtle as it is, it's a huge difference when you want to be a C-level manager or you're preparing or aspiring to doing that. It's something that made a difference for me, for sure.
Someone told me that too, and I've been very cognizant of it. But come to me with a solution, not just the problem. Because you're doing a leadership role, it's like, oh my gosh, if somebody comes to me with one more problem, like we don't have all the answers, you know? But to empower people to feel like they can come to you with a potential solution and to make them think, to your point, is the only way that we can do it. And so, I probably need to be even more cognizant about telling people that, like, come to me with the problems, but please come to me with some of your thoughts and ideas around a solution too that'll get us there quicker.
Plus, I think that also breeds like engagement and ownership. Like when you work for somebody or somebody sits you down and it's like, I value you, I also value what you think. And we work in obviously a manufacturing space, so chances are something's gonna happen that day, some
100% chance.
somewhere. And,
Every day.
And being able to come in and just have that value set where you're like, I am paying you to think. You own this. You don't have to have the right answer, but think it through.
It has to be received in an open environment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you will shut people down if you poo-poo them or you give them grief or you make them feel small for a bad idea. By the way, there's no bad ideas. For an idea that maybe you don't think is the right idea, you have to have an open brainstorming 101. You got to have an open forum where nothing's a bad idea. Let's all get going. If you don't foster that in your culture, then don't even let people think, because you're not going to listen to them anyway. So it's important to listen.
Well, and I think that goes a long way with what we talked about at the beginning of this about better together. So there is no bad idea. You might come in with a problem and a thought, and maybe it's 80% there, maybe it's 50% there, but by you and I having a conversation about an idea that you may have, it's instantly going to become better.
Yeah.
And that just also, I think, really helps perpetuate that teamwork and your whole rock of better together. So I think that that really ties in well.
Kim and I are bought in, long story short, to your Better Together
Yes, we're in.
campaign.
We're going to get
guys
our
have
own
to come
T-shirts made. But next time you watch Colorbar, we're going to have Better Together T-shirts on. And Betsy knows I'll do it.
She 1,000% will.
By the way, you two are better together. I can tell you that. I'd like to also talk a little more culture, if you don't mind.
Please.
Yeah, please do.
It also comes from your daily life. But what I mean by that is I mentioned my son's autistic, and I have to tell you that in my 20s, I was, I think, a good guy, but I was an impatient guy. I was quite judgmental. I was didn't have the compassion that maybe that you should at the level it should have. Raised by good parents, but it was just a little different. 1998, my son's born. My daughter 2 years before that, but she was an angel, a little tiny thing, and my new son Angel comes to us and has some challenges, really big challenges in the beginning of his life, and it changed the mindset completely of how I looked at things. The empathy, the lack of judgment, everything about what schooled me, what matured me to be a better human and a better manager, to allow me to feel comfortable with that better together, to allow me to be empathetic to everyone's plight, no matter what it is. To me, that's a huge part of forming who you are as a manager, and a big part of why I always say this to people who ask, I wouldn't be president and CEO of Müller Martini North America if it wasn't for my son, period. All the work I did I would have been successful, but he made the difference. And my family and my wife and daughter behind it. And I always get a little choked up when I talk about this.
Well,
Well, you're making us tear up over here. I'm trying not to look at Kim.
I
Just
know.
by the
Don't
way.
look at me, Betsy.
But I got to tell you one of the stories. One of my favorites was about Michael's story. My son Michael. My daughter went to Sacred Heart University in Connecticut, very good school, and she was doing these colloquia as a freshman, unheard of. But that's how advanced she was because of my son and what she did. And so I'm standing up there speaking, and unfortunately, the week before, there was a tragedy at a sorority. A girl choked to death in an eating contest. My daughter's friend, my daughter was doing these fashion shows with her for charity, and she had just passed the week before. So my daughter was captain of the cheer team, the standing room only in the 100 people in this small room, and my son's in the front, sitting there with my wife and my mother-in-law at the time. Dean's wife was there. So now I got to say it. So now I'm speaking at the end, father advocate, talking about empathy, walk towards special needs, not away from it. I know it's hard to approach someone, but it makes you better. My son stands up. Tough one to get through. He comes up to the podium. Dad, can I say something? I said, of course, buddy. The mighty Michael wants to speak. Michael. And there's 100 people in this room, right? He gets up, he pulls down the mic and goes, hi, everybody. I'm Michael, Juliana's brother. I want you to know I'm praying for all of you for the loss of Lauren. I'm really sorry for everybody. She goes, so I'm going to pray for you all. And Lauren's a lady girl that died. He turns to me and goes, how was that, Daddy?
Oh my gosh.
I just get so choked up. But it was such a beautiful story. I love telling it because there's so many lessons in that 30 seconds, what he did. The empathy for people he didn't even know.
Yeah.
The politeness of how he went about it. The looking for validation and looking for that feeling of good when he looked at me. Just this is what creates better people. And we can all find that. I'm just blessed that I have it in my family. Mm-hmm. But you can find that. So that's one of the things that I like to tell that story as a way to make any person, if you look for those things and you run into those things, it makes you better.
Well,
It does. I
yeah.
love that.
As I'm sitting here, like going like this. Wow.
Yeah, that's always a tough
No,
one.
and you've told and I love you've been very open about Michael for a long time. I've heard you tell stories since I've known you, and it's just super special. And one of my dear friends' son is autistic as well, and I tell you what, when he walks into a room, like we all just light up, and funny, and I love that they say kind of what we all are thinking, and they're just honest and kind and see the world in a way that I wish more of us would, to be quite honest.
Exactly the way it is. I coach Special Olympics. A lot of it I do is golf, bowling, track, and basketball. So we're up at the state games up in Ithaca, New York, at the Ithaca College. My son loved it. He got to stay in a dorm, and I stayed there. It was 100 degrees out. It wasn't the best for me, but he loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
And so they kill each other on the court because they are competitive. It's so much a learning lesson for them of win, loss, agony, defeat, thrill of victory, all that great stuff. But at the end, closing ceremony, huge. The fire, the president of New York State was there, of the Special Olympics. We walk on this huge 5-acre grassy knoll with a DJ. After all that's done, I'm standing there watching. Tall, short, gender doesn't matter, ethnicity doesn't matter, age doesn't matter. They're all playing. They're all talking. There's no judgment. They're empathetic to the ones who lost. They're celebrating the ones who won. And I stand there going, wow, society could learn. Look at this. You should film this and show more people about how we can be together. You can kill each other when you're competing, like Francis and I will. But at the end, I see Francis, I give him a big hug when I'm out printing it out, right? So it's the same type of thing. So to me, these are the lessons you learn being around this community. So it's really, really cool.
I kind of want to just end here if you're good with that. Like, I just think it's like these are the moments on Colorbar that
It's
I
just the moment,
love
yeah.
where, look, we go to work every day. We all are doing the grind. We all are trying to be the best leaders that we can and the best all these things that we can be. But at the end of the day, it's about the people that we surround ourselves with. It's with our family. It's with the people that we love, and bringing that into the spaces that we have, that we go to every day
Okay.
from a work perspective. And I think, Andy, what you just said, I'm going to cry talking about it. Thank you.
Yes.
Well, you're welcome, guys, and I'm honored to be a part of this great podcast here. You guys, you had a real momentum going with this. Whoever's idea it was, I'm sure it was yours among others. Really fantastic and representing the industry well, giving us voice to the little old finishers that everybody forgets. that pre-bindery stuff over there that we.
Well,
it's been a
love that.
pleasure.
Well, it makes me happy that you reached out. Happy that you're with us today. Can't wait to put this in front of Francis and get a little friendly competition going. And
Oh, we will.
and thank you. This was just a really, really great conversation, and thank you for being such a great leader of our industry and a friend. So thank you.
And you both also, Kim. Look forward to getting to know you more, and
Yes,
let's
likewise.
see. And when I get down to Florida, let's have lunch. Let's get together, and I want to end one little tidbit,
Please,
fun
Yeah.
fact, if I may.
let's do it.
When I was leaving Heidelberg, I was looking for jobs before I got that fateful phone call in that guy's office. I interviewed at Sandy Alexander.
No.
Can you
Really?
believe that? I went, I
No.
forget the gentleman's name, because I used to work, I was the engineer working all your presses at Heidelberg, So I was in there multiple times fixing problems. So I went there to interview to be some kind of technologist for Sandy. Kind of glad I didn't get it because my path kind of worked out. But
Yeah, it worked
I'll
out
tell
okay
you,
for you.
Fun fact, I actually interviewed at Sandy back in 1994 for a job.
I did not know that. We'll talk
Fun
about a
fact.
full circle moment. But we're glad you're sitting in the chair that you are.
Yes.
Well, as am I, and very honored to be here, very humbled to be here.
All right, awesome. Andy, thank you again.
Yes. Thank you, Andy.
And to all of our Colorbar fans, keep watching. We'll just keep doing this thing. To Andy's point, we're just going to keep running with the momentum as long as you let us.
Yes.
Thanks, guys. We'll
Thanks,
see you
guys.
soon.